is a heavy topic, Liz.
I know.
She started out with
She's like,
partying
it's a party, and
on
I'm
the
like,
clock, and you're like, seasonal depression.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?
Restaurant Punk. Let's get this
Restaurant Punk.
party started.
Yes, it's such a party. Oh, that's a good thing.
The witch edition.
Because some people, this is my topic. It's about having
parties?
a party while you're on the clock.
Define clock party.
So, have you, or have you worked with anyone who drank on the job to cope with difficult clientele or a stressful venue that you worked at?
Previously in my youth, yeah, I've totally, I used to bartend downtown Austin, and it was just high energy, high vibes, all this, all that. And I don't know, it was just one of those things to where I personally felt like I needed to be a certain level of tipsy to have that kind of personality, go, witty, this and that and the other, laid back personality, because believe it or not, I'm not like that all the time. So I thought I needed to supplement it when I was younger, but also I think that was because I wanted to be perceived as the fun, cool, whatever bartender, where now I don't care. I just want to make money.
Right.
I have known a lot of people who were very heavy drinkers, and they drank to kind of get through the job, especially in a demanding scenario. The job was really demanding, and there was a lot of stress associated with it. And then they just drank in order to cope with, I guess, the pain of the job and the stress of it and the responsibility that it came with. And I think the alcohol was more of a way to numb all of that,
Absolutely.
You think it helps you to tune people out?
Me personally, I don't really drink that much in general, but I never at work. It's just not something that, I do or have done really. But like I said, I feel for some people, it is something that they have to do in order to cope with the stress of everything that they're going through.
Yeah.
And I think especially in the restaurant industry, there are a lot of people that have to suffer with that. And there's a lot of different, and it's all different facets. You have servers, you have kitchen staff, you have owners, and there's a lot of people out there, and they're drinking in order to just deal with all of their issues that they have, because there is so much going on for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
That, this is a heavy topic, Liz.
I know. She started out with partying
and
on the clock, and you're like, seasonal depression.
This is not a party.
No, I mean, I just think there was, I don't drink on the job. Like you said, I'm not a big drinker either.
Right.
And I remember one time I was guest bartending somewhere, and it wasn't a corporate place. It was a private place, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, have a shot." I'm like, "Okay." Oh my God, tins were flying out of my hands. I was so uncoordinated, I couldn't do it. I was like, I'll never do that again. Not my thing. Even at the restaurants, if they say, "Would you like to have some wine?" I'm like, no.
Yeah, see, I'm very picky and choosy, because also, I've seen you off of one Truly versus me off of a whole case. We're two completely different people when it comes to tolerance. There's times that I don't know, when I hear drinking on the job, I hear getting drunk on the job, right? I don't hear, for me, yeah, I'll casually have a glass of wine or whatever. We had, what was it, Sunday at Petunia. Lena and her family and her boyfriend came in. My cousin Geraldine and best friend Nathan came in. Obviously, last two tables of the night, and I knew that they were going to hang out and socialize together and have a glass of wine casually while I was closing down. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have a glass of wine with essentially my family at the end of the night. And there's sometimes that regulars come in and they offer me a glass of wine. If I will never accept wine at the beginning of the night. I will never, it has to be at a very turning point of the night to where I know there's no make or break responsibility in that moment. Again, I'm having a glass. I'm not drinking a bottle to myself, which some people do. Some people can't get through their shift without having a whole bottle of wine, or worse, even hard liquor. And people have flasks just on them. And I think we did the episode of people who smoke weed on, they can't cope with their everyday shit. They got to smoke in order to
But I mean,
get
even
going.
people that, let's say, it's even, let's say it's even more fun and innocent, right? You're just going to have a couple drinks, have a little fun. But I mean, there's still that aspect of there's that stress of your day, right? So now you're going to go and have like your end of shift or like your closing shift and you're having like your couple drinks. So that's still your way of coping with the stress and decompressing with what you've done, you know, that day. And are those things like necessarily like healthy alternatives to how you should be handling, you know, your stress? You know what I mean? Like, okay, again, everybody has a drink, right? You know, it's just a matter of like interpreting why you're having that drink or like why you're doing
why and also how often.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I worked with someone who very friendly. It was in a privately owned place and he was like the manager on. And one day he'd said to me that he drinks every shift. I never would have guessed. It doesn't show in his mannerisms. He doesn't smell of it. I don't know how much he drank. And he said he had to drink because he has anxiety and it helps him get through the night in dealing with the customers.
Right.
And I was like so surprised because I never thought that. I thought that the people who drink at work, 'cause I know people drink at work, either they're doing it because they're young and they don't know any better or they don't care. Or there's a drinking problem. I never thought like it's a serious thing where it's a hard industry to work.
Well, there's a lot of high functioning alcoholics that,
true.
you know, they wake up, you have to have your drink and then you go into work and then you have to drink and then you're going through your whole thing and you're drinking all day long and your average person might not even know that they're drinking like that. But that's just the nature of, you know, like alcoholism for a lot of people, you know, and then again, especially in the industry that we're in, you know, that alcoholism is a very big thing.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I'm a bartender. I rarely drink, but really the norm is most bartenders drink.
And even, because again, when I was bartending and I was downtown, again, I was young. Like I was stupid young when I think on my 18th birthday, they were like, you are now like starting in that shift. I was serving tables up until midnight. I turned 18. They put me behind the bar. I never left that bar after that. I literally would drink so much, like whether it be during the shift or after the shift, that I would go to my car, sleep in my car if I had to be there the next morning, and then just walk right back into work the next morning, sleep in my car downtown Austin, and then walk like back into the shift at 9 a.m. Like I was a little party girl. Like I was a party kid. And again, I was so young. By the time my 21st birthday came around, I was like, I would rather die than have a drink. Like I would always have my bottle filled with water in a Tito's thing. And if someone wanted to buy me a drink, I'd be like, absolutely. I would pour a shot of Tito's, but it was water. And I would take it, add it to their tab because they said they wanted to buy me a drink, you know, and call it a day. But I think that I burned out like really young because I had been working since I was 11 years old, realistically. So by 18, I was just like, party. Like, this is so cool. I get to be downtown. I get to be drinking. I should have been killed like in the things that I did. So like, as I get older, like, again, I think like this past Sunday, one night this week, I was like, oh, my whole family's here. Like, it's so rare that everybody's here together. And especially at the end of the night, like Lena's coming back to my house to stay for the weekend, whatever. Peter's got a headache. Instead of bullying him at home with all of my friends and my family, like, let's just stay here, have a drink, and then go home, like across the street. Even then, I'm like, damn, it's been a long week and I have an even longer week next week. Let me just enjoy a drink before like all the chaos. And it's a coping thing still.
Yeah.
But again, like I'm not saying, you know, that, you know, don't have like a drink or anything like that, or having a drink makes you like anything like that. You know, it's just a matter of, again, like how you're enjoying your beverages and how you're choosing to do it. Like, and knowing when is it a party and when is the party over?
Absolutely.
You know, because the party's not always going on, you know, and it can be really hard too, working with like severe alcoholics in like a restaurant or like, you know, in some different capacities like that, because now you're the staff and let's say your boss, you know, is a heavy drinker, and then, you know, like around like a certain time, he's going to come out and he's going to be like hammered off his fucking ass.
I've never experienced that.
And he's just going to have like a certain whatever, even if it's a coworker, like, you know, like, oh,
it's
you know,
it's never really
it's
been
Jim's
like an
time,
owner.
and, like,
it's always been like the general manager who thinks that they're hot shit and like whatever, and they come out and they're drunk and they're partying and they're giving everybody like shit for free, whatever. But then like at the end of the night, when they do like your bottle count or your shot count or whatever, they're like, wow, you're like 3 shots off. And it's like, yeah, because you gave this free stuff to your friends, but somehow it's my fault. And like, you're going to report that back to the owner. So because of your own alcoholism, like, I don't know. I've seen it. I've seen it from all different standpoints, and I feel like alcohol,
I think, affect like the staff.
Absolutely.
You know, like the place, you know, and the way that everybody works together. You know, because now you have like that looming thing over your head now.
Yeah.
You know, like that's around, and that you're gonna have to deal with it at some point in the night, or at some point in the week, or at some point it's coming.
Some point period, it's
I
coming.
couldn't imagine it being to that degree. Like I said, that one manager, like you couldn't tell. I had no idea. But I've never been experienced it where it was like so out of control by anyone really that I saw.
I think it definitely still happens and happens like often, but I think it's less often than what it used to be. I think between like safe work environment, like people have just now been screaming over the last, 15 years, like work culture, like make it safe, make it healthy, like mentally and like everything else, which, Yanni would be here and be like, your mental health means nothing, work harder. Because old Greek. I
don't know. I think it's, me personally, I think it's still like just as prevalent as it always was in like all different work environments. I just think that it's packaged different now. And like we're exposed to things like, I feel like that things are just packaged a lot different now, and that it's more, certain things are like maybe passed off or just perceived as more pleasant than they really are. So I think that it's still just as prevalent now as it always was and always will be.
It's just more of a conversation.
I just think that, especially in this industry, that's something that alcoholism is something that, you're going to be dealing with. Yeah. And it's going to be something prevalent everywhere. And unfortunately, that's just the nature of,
I didn't mean alcoholism. I meant like the alcoholic manager coming out and screaming at people and doing this. Like, I feel like that was, I guess I find
like a little more old.
Yeah. Cause I feel like that's a little bit more old school now as far as alcoholism in like the restaurant industry period. I don't think that has changed necessarily at all. But I think it's like now, if you have the raging asshole who's coming out from the back office, like he's getting sent home or he's getting fired because like the bosses don't want it to be a liability on them, but like nobody's going to fire the drunk cook or like the server who's getting like wasted at the end of the night off of all the extra bottles as long as she comes in the next day, and like does her job like well enough, as long as it's like not causing a riff or a ripple like effect. I think that people are just going to keep like turning a blind eye.
Well, my thing is as a guest, just be more mindful of like how you speak to people. I mean, some people would say, people who have never worked in the industry could sit there and say, oh, well, that's industry you chose. It's art industry. And it is. But it doesn't mean that you should still
be treated like a dog.
Abuse the staff, because that does happen.
Absolutely.
Because you want my happy, you might push them to drink. Or spit in your food. Okay? Restaurant punk out!
Restaurant punk out.
Like you might just be in like your bag of feelings at that moment and be like, I need all of this. And then like you get all of that and it's like you're not in a place and you didn't work on yourself enough to handle it all once you got it. And that's how I feel like once I joined the Kara family. I was like, this is everything I want. And then I got Peter, but I got Yanni too.
What you got? What do you want?